What's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Arman spoke at the post-fight press conference and made it clear he believes he's next in line for a title shot against Ilia. He said that if the UFC decides to schedule the fight for January, he'll be more than ready to step in. Arman explained that he didn't want to talk too much about Ilia before his own fight because his full focus had to stay on the opponent in front of him. But now that the job is done, he's ready to shift gears and start building momentum for the next big matchup. He even joked that he's planning to create some wild, entertaining videos to go viral and bring more eyes to the upcoming fight, doing everything he can to hype the moment. He added that he can easily rest for a week, fly to the US, and spend 2 solid months preparing. According to him, that's more than enough time to get in perfect shape. Arman stressed that he didn't suffer any injuries, thanked God for that, and said the UFC simply needs to confirm the fight. He's hoping the announcement comes as early as Tuesday, with him headlining a main event against Ilia, whether it ends up being in Las Vegas or Los Angeles. Arman said he's fully ready. He wants the opportunity, and he intends to take that chance without hesitation. With proper time to prepare and full confidence in his performance, he made it clear he plans to show the world exactly why he deserves the shot. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to help support the channel. Moving on to another news. Garry delivered a message after securing his latest win, addressing the newly crowned welterweight champion, Islam, with confidence. He spoke to fans first, saying they did it again, that the victory proved everything he had been claiming. He emphasized that beating a former champion, a tough fighter who had not been finished in 9 years, showed how sharp his skills are. He explained that he stopped the takedown, controlled the pace, and proved he could stand and strike with anyone. Then his tone shifted as he aimed his words directly at Islam, telling him that as champion, he has a duty and a responsibility to defend the belt against the best in the world. Garry made it clear he believes that challenger is him. He reminded everyone that the ball is now in Islam's court, and whenever the champion feels ready, the matchup can happen. He hyped the idea of Ireland versus Dagestan once again, but this time for the welterweight title, promising that the moment would be massive for the sport and for both nations. He finished by reinforcing that he's prepared, hungry, and willing to step in as soon as the call comes. His message wasn't just a challenge, it was a declaration that he's entering his prime and believes no one at welterweight can stop his rise. This statement has already sparked discussion across the MMA world, with fans wondering how Islam will respond to the pressure and the spotlight now aimed at him at this moment. Moving on to another news. Paddy Pimblett linked up with Speed, and the entire interaction turned into pure chaotic comedy. From the moment they sat together, they kept teasing each other non-stop, bouncing off each other's energy like they'd known each other for years. Speed immediately started laughing at the way Paddy talked, saying he sounded like he was from Alabama or something, repeating it with even more confusion the second time. Paddy fired right back, insisting that Speed was hearing things wrong, especially when he tried to explain the classic joke about chicken and a can of Coke. Speed kept asking what he was talking about, completely lost, repeating, "What is he saying?" while Paddy just laughed at the misunderstanding. The back and forth kept escalating, especially when Speed attempted to repeat the phrase, but still butchered it, turning chicken and a can of Coke into something that sounded like shot on a can of Coke. Paddy told him that was crazy, and Speed kept trying, saying it sounded kind of cold, only making it funnier. Then Paddy hit him with, "Good thing your name is Speed. You're slow, aren't you?" which made the moment even better. Speed tried defending himself, insisting Paddy had the wrong person, but Paddy kept going, especially when he joked about Speed eating a fried egg with nothing else, saying he was just shoving a fried egg down his throat. At one point, Speed asked if the viewers wanted to see them fight, saying they'd do it if people really wanted it. He kept hyping it up, saying, "He think I'm weak," and Paddy immediately responded that the only thing Speed could beat him was a race. Speed claimed Paddy wouldn't even be able to catch him, but Paddy just laughed and said Speed wouldn't be able to run once he started kicking. Speed pushed back, insisting that he knew how to block a kick, but Paddy didn't buy it for a second. Their energy was wild, playful, and non-stop, turning a simple meetup into one of the funniest crossover moments fans have seen in a long time. Moving on to another news. Alexandre Topuria delivered a strong performance at UFC Qatar, landing several heavy shots on Beksat Almakan, but ultimately unable to secure the finish in what became his second UFC victory. The brother of UFC lightweight champion Ilia showed a well-rounded skill set throughout the bantamweight bout, controlling the action long enough to win 2 of the 3 rounds on the judges' scorecards. The final tallies came in at 30-27, 30-27, and 29-28, giving him a unanimous decision win and another step forward in his rising career. During the post-fight press conference, Alexandre took a moment to praise his opponent, acknowledging the toughness and power that Almakhan brought into the cage. When asked whether he felt his opponent's punches at any point during the fight, Alexandre responded with honesty, saying he definitely felt them and already knew coming in that Almakhan was a strong puncher with genuinely heavy hands. He explained that although the power was real, he was thankful that Almakhan wasn't able to land anything clean enough to change the momentum of the fight, whether because he defended well or because the openings simply never appeared. Alexandre added that there was only one thing he truly wanted to highlight about Almakhan, and that was the respect he had for him as a warrior. He made it clear that his opponent came to fight, stayed dangerous from start to finish, and pushed him to stay sharp in every exchange. The win may not have come back out, but the performance showed growth, composure, and maturity, proving that Alexandre is continuing to evolve inside the octagon while carving his own path separate from Ilia's championship run. Moving on to another news, Ilia shared a heartfelt moment online after his brother's hard-earned victory. Following Alexandre's win, Ilia took to Instagram to show his pride and appreciation, posting a short but meaningful message that quickly caught attention. He wrote, "Thank God we got one more victory. I'm so proud of you, brother. All your hard work has paid off." The post highlighted not only the bond between the two brothers, but also the dedication they both pour into their careers. Ilia's message reflected the emotion behind the scenes, acknowledging the long hours of training, the sacrifices, and the discipline that brought Alexandre to another successful moment inside the octagon. Fans responded immediately, celebrating the support between the siblings and recognizing how their shared journey continues to push them forward. The win marked another step in Alexandre's rise, and Ilia's public praise added an extra layer of motivation as the brothers keep building momentum in the UFC. Moving on to another news, Sean O'Malley dropped a new video breaking down how Arman submitted Dan Hooker at UFC Qatar. He opened the clip with a quick, energetic rundown, explaining exactly how the finish happened. Sean said Arman wasted no time, took Dan down cleanly, and immediately worked to flatten him out on the canvas. Once Hooker was on his back, Arman positioned him perfectly, pinning him down and controlling every move. Sean described how Arman slid Dan's arm up toward his own head, locking it in place to remove any chance of escape. From there, Arman reached across, secured his own arm, and tightened the choke with precision, showing just how technically sharp and composed he was throughout the sequence. Sean even mimicked the motion, demonstrating how Arman applied steady pressure until Hooker had no choice but to tap out. It was a simple breakdown, but it highlighted just how dominant and efficient Arman's grappling has become, leaving no doubt about the level he's performing at right now. Moving on to another news, Robert Whittaker shared his thoughts on Paddy Pimblett's rise and said he actually wants to see Paddy fight for the lightweight title one day. But before that happens, he believes Paddy needs one more big test, either against Max Holloway or Charles Oliveira. Whittaker explained that he'd personally like to see the Max matchup because fights like that push Paddy straight toward a title shot. He added that Paddy's growth has been exponential and his recent performances have shown a new level of focus and maturity. Whittaker pointed out how Paddy dismantled his last opponent and how the fight before that showed his ability to zero in on what he needs to do without getting distracted. In his view, Paddy versus Oliveira would be absolutely wild, especially stylistically, and Paddy versus Holloway would be just as exciting. He said he doesn't know which fight the UFC should make, but he's confident those matchups would draw massive attention. He also mentioned that at lightweight, everything eventually leads to one showdown, saying it has to be Arman versus Ilia at some point, because that's the fight the entire division is circling around. Still, the idea of Paddy versus Oliveira grabbed him the most. He said the grappling, the scrambles, and the pace would be incredible, especially with how Paddy has been improving. For Whittaker, that matchup alone would be worth the wait and could be the fight that finally proves whether Paddy is ready for the biggest stage in the division. Moving on to another news. Former UFC welterweight champion Georges St. Pierre recently appeared on Aiden Ross's stream, where he opened up about his meeting with Kamaru Usman and the advice he shared with him. GSP explained that during their conversation in New York, he spoke to Usman about the stage of life and career he's in, acknowledging that Usman is now in his late 30s. GSP said he understood exactly what Usman was feeling because he had lived through the same emotions near the end of his own career. He recalled asking Usman whether he planned to compete again, and Usman responded that he wanted to make one more run, one more stretch to see what he could still do at the highest level. GSP said that because he genuinely likes and respects Usman, he felt the need to give him honest advice. He told him that if he truly wants to fight again, he should do what he feels he needs to do, get it out of his system, but make sure he gets out on top. He explained that leaving on a high note is not only better for a fighter's health, but also crucial from a business perspective. Retiring as a champion, or even near that level, creates long-lasting opportunities that continue to benefit a fighter long after their days in the cage are over. He admitted that every fighter feels like they're leaving money on the table when they step away, thinking they could have had one more fight or one more paycheck. But as he put it, that's just the ego talking. He went on to share that he felt the same temptation when he walked away, wondering if he should have taken another fight. But by retiring when he did, he maintained his value, his reputation, and his ability to secure opportunities in the business world that only come when an athlete leaves the sport with their stock at its highest. GSP stressed that if a fighter pushes too far, loses 1, 2, or even 3 fights in a row, not only does their legacy take a hit, but the financial opportunities that follow a strong exit often disappear. He imagined how different his own life might have been if he had retired on a losing streak, saying those doors likely would not have opened in the same way. By leaving at the right time, he preserved both his health and his long-term financial stability, and he encouraged Usman to think carefully about doing the same while he still has control over his career and his future. Moving on to another news, the conversation around what comes next for Ilia has started to heat up, especially with talks about a potential matchup against Paddy Pimblett. Many believe that Ilia versus Paddy is a fight that would sell far more tickets and pull in a massive wave of viewership, simply because of the personalities, the rivalry, and the entertainment factor surrounding both fighters. Ilia has been calling for this fight for a long time, not only because of their history, but also because their styles would create the type of chaos fans love to watch. On top of that, there's the ongoing narrative that Ilia still doesn't want to fight Arman, a storyline that began after Arman withdrew from UFC 311 earlier in January. Ilia even roasted Arman at the time, saying he would have fought even if he had a missing limb, which kept the tension alive between them for months. The discussion becomes even more interesting when considering Paddy's recent resume. While his victory over Chandler was memorable, many point out that Chandler, now 39, is no longer at his peak. Paddy isn't coming off a win over a top 10 ranked opponent, and that raises questions about whether he truly deserves a fight of this magnitude. Meanwhile, Arman delivered a powerful performance on Saturday, strengthening his ranking and making his claim for a title eliminator, or even a direct title shot, more legitimate than ever. With that context in mind, some fans wonder if the UFC would really overlook Arman again and push forward with a more marketable matchup instead. It remains possible, though. The UFC has a history of choosing the bigger draw when matchmaking gets complicated, especially when a storyline can capture mainstream attention. A fight between Ilia and Paddy undeniably has the potential to explode on social media, generate headlines, and create a spectacle that reaches audiences far beyond the hardcore MMA fan base. Still, with Arman continuing to prove himself against elite competition, ignoring him completely wouldn't come without backlash. Whether the promotion prioritizes rankings or star power, this time is the real question hanging in the air, and all signs point to an interesting decision ahead as the division continues to evolve.